Hello, Audioholics. This is Logan, and welcome back to Album Reviews on Audioholics Anonymous. Today, we will be reviewing the new Witherfall album, Curse of Autumn. And here, the Curse of Autism himself, he's already laughing because we already did a take of this. Tyler is here to give his uninformed opinion of this.
Yeah, so talking about autism, I'm about to rant about this for 15 minutes. Album of the year. Like just straight up, this is album of the year material, and I would be shocked if something tops this at the end of the year. So many good albums this year. I've said this a few times. We got Architects, King Gizzard, now this. And that's 3 times I've said I'd be shocked if they aren't in my top 3. So we'll see. We've got Gojira coming out later. We've got like all kinds of amazing stuff coming out this year. I'm really excited. But on to the actual album that we're talking about today, Curse of Autumn by Witherfall. Witherfall is a band I had no idea about before we listened to this album. I had heard like through the whole John Schaefer thing that's going on. If you're not in the know, I'm not going to tell you what's going on. Google it. Google is your friend. But
Your enemy.
Jake Dreyer of Iced Earth, which is the band that John Schaefer was in, very vocally and publicly distanced himself from the band. He didn't quit, but he said, I'm not going to really be focusing on Iced Earth anymore. I'm going to focus on my band, Witherfall. And so I was like, who the fuck is Witherfall? Saw they were releasing an album, and I was like, oh, I'll listen to the singles and see if it's worth covering. So I listened to one of the singles, and I went, holy shit, that was amazing. I fucking loved that. So I sent it over to Logan, and I'm like, hey, bro, you want to, I know this isn't probably a very well-known band, but you want to cover this? This is fucking amazing. And he was like, yeah, this is really good. Let's do it. So we covered it, and holy shit, I loved this album. So we have Joseph Michael of White Wizard and Sanctuary on vocals. We have Jake Dreyer, who I mentioned before, of Iced Earth, as well as White Wizard for a little bit, and I think he's in Sanctuary now. I could be wrong. We also have Marco Miniman from the Aristocrats, and who else was it? Anthony Crawford of Chon. So we have a super group of people here. For those of you who don't know who they are, Joseph Michael, he sort of replaced World Dane in Sanctuary when World Dane died. World Dane was the singer of Sanctuary and Nevermore. And we already know who Jake Dreyer is. Marco Miniman was from the Aristocrats. For those of you who've never listened to that band, that is extremely technical, progressive, like instrumental music.
I've never even heard of that.
They're fucking insane. Guthrie Govan is the guitar player, and if you can keep up with a guy like that, you're one of the best drummers in the world.
He really
shows that on this album.
I will say, though, if Disney does a live-action remake of the Aristocats and these guys don't do the soundtrack, Disney is just irredeemable. I mean,
they're already irredeemable. They didn't bring back what's his face for Scar in the live action.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'd say the less known name here is Anthony Crawford, but Chon is not by any means an unknown band. So we've got a really technical group of musicians here, and fuck do they show it. The instrumentation on this album is so intricate and technical, you would think that you would hear something more wanky, but it's really not wanky at all. It comes across more like a band like Symphony X or something like that, but more technical. The guitar riffing and soloing on this album is fucking glorious, at times reminding me of the likes of Yngwie Malmsteen, Michael Romeo, even Tony Iommi, and some of those doomy guys at times as well. But he also has his own firm identity as a guitar player. And I would say as a whole, that's a good way to describe Witherfall. They really do wear their influences on their sleeves. You can hear Nevermore. You can hear like Emperor. You can hear Maiden. You can hear all these different influences. But Gentle Giant even. But they don't sound exactly like any of them. They have their own unique sound. This is just very technical music, but it's also very heavy. I just absolutely love the way the instrumentals are done on this album. The vocalist, Joseph Michael, is the standout, in my opinion. I mean, I love every other aspect here, but the vocals were mind-blowingly good, in my opinion, to the point where he's instantly got a spot on my favorite vocalists of all time list. Not even joking. He is just straight up one of my favorite singers now. He can sing melodically, softly, but he can do harsh vocals just as well. He can sound like Dio. He can sound like Rob Halford. At times, and this is probably why he replaced him, he can sound like World Dane as well. It's almost like a reincarnation of World Dane at times. Yeah, this guy is also literally fucking related to Dio. That's not even a joke. Dio is his relative. He has metal godhood in his blood. The songwriting on this album is fan-fucking-tastic. The band goes in a ton of different directions. You've got neoclassical metal, progressive metal, melodic, dark, heavy metal. The band isn't afraid to let the instruments shine, but it doesn't really overly rely on them either. I can't really remember many times where the instrumentals went on for more than a minute, minute and a half, which is rare for any technical progressive type music. Even on the 15-minute epic, I think the instrumentals weren't like there was no 5-minute instrumental section. You know what I mean? It wasn't like a Dream Theater song. Even the lyricism is pretty top notch. I have no idea what the fuck they're singing about, but I love it. I, it's really impactful. I remember the song that I
Not at
really
all
liked a
influenced
lot.
by Rob Zombie.
Yeah, of course. No, the song I really liked a lot when I first listened to the album was "As I Lie Awake," which has a really nice altar that, I fucking spoiled it. Really nice lyric. They gave us an altar without any faith. That's a pretty impactful line if you read it as sort of a song about mental health. But so many fucking amazing, memorable songs on this album. The Last Scar, As I Lie Awake, Another Face, the fucking Blistering Tempest, Curse of Autumn, The Other Side of Fear, which was a single that blew me away, the emotional and drawn back River, and then the fucking progressive epic, and they all blew away. And it's not like it's just boring metal either. They implement flamenco guitar in
Yeah,
the
for one.
intro. And even in Tempest, they bring it back, and they have some interesting instruments that they use, like different percussion and things like that throughout the album. I think I even heard like a flute or something like that at one point, but they don't overuse it. So it's really special when you hear it on the record. Also, they have a cover of Long Time by that was Boston, right?
Well, yeah, but that was a bonus track.
It's
Still,
a
though.
bonus track, but it's still pretty cool to have it on
Yeah.
the deluxe edition or whatever. And it's on the vinyl. I looked. It is on the vinyl.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. I don't think I need to talk more about this album. I'm just going to say I think I wasn't expecting to love this as much as I do, but I think I found my new obsession. This is a 10 out of 10 album. 10 out of fucking 10. Perfect.
So I, look, listen to this album or revoke your metal license. That's how I see it. I love this album too, and if a morally obsessed prog head like him and an absolutely basic white bitch like me can listen to the same album and come out with 10 and nearly 10 scores, you have a winner on your hands. I'm sorry. Um, I gave the instrumentals a 10 out of 10 because like there's so much instrumental variety. It's all done really well. Personal enjoyment, I personally gave this a 10 out of 10. Songwriting, I think I might have given a 9 out of 10, mainly because like I guess I feel like it could have theoretically been better. And the vocals, I think this is really the only disagreement
We've been
that
debating
Tyler and
this
I have.
nonstop.
No, so the vocals for the most part are really, really good. Like he said, this guy is capable of a lot. He can do Halford screaming. He's literally fucking related to Ronnie James Dio. He's he can do like he can do some like almost like metalcore screaming. I don't know if that's necessarily the right terminology, but like a more hardcore sound to him. There's
Yeah,
some dirt.
tortured screams is I think what they
Tortured
call it.
screams, yes. The only problem I have is that I hate his low end. I hate his low end. I hate the fucking overuse of vibrato. It sounds like ah! I'm not even exaggerating. It sounds like fucking Tarzan yelling. Like what the fuck were you thinking? Now honestly though, beyond that, this is an amazing record, and I hope at least that the vocal deficiencies are fixed in the next album, and I think that they will. I think that this has the potential, if they release one more album, it has the potential to be an easy 10 out of 10 for him and a reluctant 10 out of 10 for me. Like,
Yeah, this band is really just holy shit. I can't believe I slept
yeah,
on them this long. They did. I will tell you, I
yeah,
listened to part of their other album that they have. I think they have three, but I listened to the second one they put out. I think it's called Prelude to Sorrow.
yeah,
It wasn't as good, in my opinion, based
yeah.
on what I heard. It was more like a 8 out of 10. But I mean, that happens with bands. Like even from like Judas
Well,
Priest, I wouldn't say they put out a 10 out of 10 for at least like 4 albums in, right?
yeah, so, yeah,
You could
but like,
argue they didn't put out a 10 out of 10 their whole career, actually.
mm, I don't know.
You could argue it. Like every
You
song
could
has
argue
that
it.
one song that isn't as good, but
Like I mean, like you could like I would argue some things like Screaming for Vengeance, Stained Class, maybe Firepower, I'm not sure. But
I think Sad Wings of Destiny is pretty close too. I know there's that one song that sounds like a lounge singer, but it's not
well, there's
bad. It's
like
still
some of
pretty
the more
good.
proggy elements. But
Yeah.
okay, Tyler, I have a question. So, do you think that 8 out of 10 might just be because your expectations were already so high from the
Probably.
following album? Like if you
Probably.
would have listened to I can't remember what the
I think it's Prelude to Sorrow. I
Prelude to
think that's what it's
Sorrow.
called.
Yeah.
If I had listened to it first, then I might have liked it more, like maybe a 9 out of 10. But I still don't think like the songs just didn't
Do you
hit me
think there is
like this one did.
any scenario where you would have given it a 10 out of 10?
Probably not.
Okay.
It's still really good though. Don't take me this saying that it's just not as good as the new one is what I'm saying.
Would you say
We're
another
like
question?
comparing Screaming for Vengeance and Defenders of the Faith. Like
Yeah,
Defenders of the Faith is not as good as Screaming for
but
Vengeance,
it's still a
but
really
it's
good
far
fucking
from a
record.
bad album. Yeah.
So like I I think my other question though for you, because you enjoyed this, I mean, we both enjoyed this quite a bit, but you enjoyed them enough to where you listened to another album. Uh
Part of it anyway.
yeah, what would you say is a better album to get into Witherfall, because they are a little bit more on the obscure side. They don't have the name recognition as other projects like Nevermore and Iced Earth.
Um, I think this is the best album based on what I've heard to get into them because they have the more mainstream songs like As I Lay Awake, which I could genuinely hear on the radio.
Yeah.
I think it could be playing on the radio right now, and I'm shocked that there's nobody requesting it because it's so fucking good. But it also has some of the deeper cuts like Tempest, which wouldn't be played on the radio. So I think probably
Yeah.
this album would be a good
Yeah.
introduction to the band.
So, in closing on my end, I gave it a 9.3 out of 10,
Yeah,
and
still a really damn good score.
still a really damn good album. And on the AU meter, which is a thing I'm going to be saying from now on, patent pending, this is a 9.7 out of 10,
Is close to a perfect
realistically,
album.
which realistically you can round up to a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
so that was our wait, sorry, did you have something else to add?
yeah, no, I didn't really.
Okay, so yeah, that was our review on the new Witherfall album. Did you guys listen to it? What did you think of it? If you haven't listened to it yet, do that or revoke your metal license. Yeah, tell us in the comment section what you thought of it. So without further ado, we bid you
Audio
audio
do.
do. See you later.